The stars rushed past the small ship like cold white fire. Inside, Alira held her daughter tight. Her arms were shaking. Not from fear, but from exhaustion. Her body was bruised, her clothes burned in places, and her breathing was weak. But her child still slept, head resting on her chest, small hand curled in her mother's hair. Alira looked at the screen. Red lights, warning signs, fuel low. Life support failing, enemies still chasing. She gritted her teeth. Not now, please. Not now. The war had come without warning. One night, the sky turned black and her home burned. Her mate was killed trying to help others escape. Alira didn't even get to bury him. She only had time to grab her baby and run. For days, she had jumped from star to star. She had no food left, no more allies. But she had heard of a human world, Nova Kalos, a small colony far from the front lines. Humans didn't like outsiders, but maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't kill her on sight. I will not let them take you, she whispered to her daughter. Suddenly, her ship jolted. A blast hit the side. The enemy had found her again. Alira screamed, trying to keep the ship under control. Her hands moved fast over buttons and screens. She pushed hard, trying to make it to the human planet. Almost there. Her ship broke through the clouds like a falling stone. The engines flared. Alarms screamed. She saw green hills, small buildings, a tower with blinking lights. People were pointing at the sky. Then everything went dark. When Alira opened her eyes, she couldn't breathe. The air felt strange, cold, too thick. She tried to move, but her body didn't listen. Her child, where was she? She sat up fast. Sine, she's safe, a voice said. Alira's eyes focused. A man stood in front of her. He wore old clothes. His hands were rough. His face had a scar down the left side. He wasn't holding a weapon, just a small cup of water. She blinked, confused. I found you in the wreck, he said gently. You crashed near the East Fields. Who are you? She asked, barely able to speak the human words. Name's Eli, he said. Eli Walker. I'm a farmer here. She looked to the side. Her child was curled up on a soft bed, breathing gently. Tears fell from Alira's eyes. She tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. Thank you. Eli stepped closer and handed her the cup. Drink. You need it more than me. She looked at it for a long second, unsure if it was safe, but her lips were dry and her throat hurt. Slowly, she drank. It tasted like life. Outside, voices shouted. Did she wake up yet? Why is she still alive? She's one of them. We can't trust her. Call the command post. Get her locked up. Eli turned toward the door. Stay here. Don't move. He walked outside. Lyra crawled to her child and held her, tightly pressing her forehead to the girl's. Outside, a small group of humans had gathered. Some were farmers. Some had old rifles in their hands. One man wore a uniform. She's an alien, a woman said. She could be a spy. She had a child with her, Eli said firmly. They were both half dead. I don't care, the officer barked. We don't know who she is, where she came from, or what she wants. She wants to keep her daughter alive, Eli replied. The crowd went quiet. Eli's voice dropped. I know that look. I've seen it before. On refugees, on soldiers, on people who lost everything. She didn't come here to start trouble. She came because she had nowhere else to go. A few people looked away, ashamed. Others looked uncertain. The officer stepped forward. We can't protect her. You know that? You help her. You're putting all of us in danger. I'll take the risk, Eli said. You want to punish someone? Punish me. But I'm not turning away a mother and child. Inside, Alira heard the words. She didn't understand all of them, but she heard her name. She heard her daughter's name. And she heard the human say, "I'll take the risk." Her hands shook. No one had spoken for her since the war began. No one had stood between her and danger. Who was this man? Why would a human help someone like her? She didn't know. But she knew one thing. For the first time in many suns, she felt a small light of hope. Alira looked down at her child and whispered, "Maybe we're not alone after all." Eli Walker sat beside the old wooden door, arms crossed, watching the angry shadows move outside his small home. The people of Nova Kalos were scared. By a good reason. War had changed everything. And now, an alien mother and her child were inside his house. He didn't sleep that night. Inside, the alien woman, Alira, sat quietly in the corner. Her back pressed against the wall, her daughter still asleep in her lap. She didn't close her eyes. She didn't trust anyone. Not even Eli. But something in her heart told her this human was different. When morning came, the sun broke through the window, casting golden light on the sleeping child. The girl stirred, blinked up at her mother, and whispered, "Are we safe now?" Alira nodded. "For now, my star." She looked over at Eli, who was boiling water for tea. He looked tired, but calm. "You didn't give us away," she said, slowly, in broken English. He smiled, gently. "No, I didn't." Why? Eli didn't answer right away. He poured tea into 2 cups, one for himself and one for her. He walked over and handed it to her without a word. She hesitated, then took it. "My wife and son," he said softly, "died 5 years ago. During the first wave of attacks." Alira blinked. Her hands tightened on the warm cup. "No one helped them," he continued. "I begged the patrol ships for aid. I begged the council a tea, but they turned away." His voice was heavy, like stones sinking in deep water. "I swore, if I ever saw someone begging for help again, I wouldn't walk away." Alira looked down at her daughter, now awake and quietly sipping water. She looked back at Eli. "You're not like the others," she whispered. Eli chuckled bitterly. "No, I guess I'm not." A loud knock shook the house. Eli stood up quickly and stepped outside. 3 people waited. Officer Marklin and 2 guards with stun rifles. Marklin crossed his arms. "She needs to be moved to holding. The council wants answers." Eli didn't move. "She's weak. The child is still recovering." "Orders are orders," the officer said. "She could be carrying a beacon. You know what that means?" Eli didn't flinch. "If she had come to hurt us, she wouldn't have brought a child." "She might be bait." Eli stepped closer. "I trust her." Markelon looked at him, surprised. "You don't even know her name." "Yes, I do," Eli said. "It's Alira. Her daughter is Sinai. They lost everything. They're not a threat. They're just people." Marklin's eyes narrowed. "You're breaking protocol." Eli didn't back down. "Then write my name down. Charge me. But I won't let you drag her into a cell." There was a long silence. Finally, Marklon sighed and waved the guards off. 2 days. That's all I can give you. After that, I can't protect you either." He turned and walked away. Eli stepped back inside. Alira had heard everything. She stood, her body tense. You spoke for us," she said. "You don't owe me anything," Eli said. "You just rest." Alira stared at him for a long time. Her people believed humans were cold, distant, too logical to care about others. But this man had risked everything for her and her daughter. Maybe the stories were wrong. That afternoon, Sine walked into the yard. She saw chickens for the first time and giggled as they clucked around her feet. Eli watched from the side, smiling softly. Alira stepped out, still weak, but stronger than before. She's laughing, she said. She's safe, Eli replied. Children laugh when they feel safe. I haven't heard her laugh since the invasion, Alira said quietly. They stood in silence for a moment. Eli broke it. Where were you going? Before the crash, Alira looked up at the sky. Anywhere. Far. I just wanted a place where my daughter could live without fear. You found one, Eli said. At least for now. Later that night, Eli gave Sine a small blanket and helped her lie down in the spare room. She smiled at him, her sharp alien eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Good night, she said, her words broken but clear. Eli's heart softened. Good night, little one. When he turned to leave, she reached out and touched his hand. Thank you, she whispered. Eli paused. Then gently squeezed her fingers. Back in the main room, Alira stood with her arms crossed. She hasn't said thank you to anyone in a long time, she said. She's strong, Eli said. Like her mother. Alira looked at him. You should not be kind to us. It brings danger. Eli gave a tired smile. Then let it come. Alira stepped closer. Her eyes were filled with something Eli hadn't seen in a long time. Trust. Sleep, he said. I'll keep watch. Tonight, she sat down slowly. Why? Because I told you. I don't walk away. Morning came with a strange silence. The sky over Nova Kalos was clear. But something in the air felt heavy like the breath before a storm. Eli stood outside his house, eyes scanning the horizon. His shotgun leaned against the doorframe, untouched. He didn't want to fight. But he knew what was coming. Inside, Alira helped Sine eat a piece of bread. The child chewed slowly, still weak but smiling. The laughter from the night before had faded, replaced by quiet looks and small steps. Are we leaving today, Mother? Sine asked. Alira paused. She looked at the ceiling, then shook her head. Not yet, but soon. A knock at the door made her tense. Eli answered. Officer Marklin entered, along with 2 new soldiers, both in black armor, faces hard, weapons ready. We gave you 2 days, Mark Allen said coldly. Council says time's up. Eli stood tall. She hasn't recovered. The child is barely walking. We don't care. They could be enemy agents. You've had your chance to question them. Now they go into custody. Alira stepped forward, standing between the soldiers and her child. You will not take her, she said, her voice sharp, clear. One soldier raised his weapon. Eli stepped in front of them. Lower it. She's threatening, the soldier snapped. No, Eli said. She's protecting, like any mother would. Mark Lon sighed. Look, Eli, I don't want this to get ugly, but the law is the law. Then change the law, Eli replied. Because this isn't justice. This is fear. The room went silent. Mark Len looked at Ali, really looked. Her eyes were tired. Her face held pain, not hate. Her arms were wrapped around a child, not a weapon. I need answers, he said. If I give you 1 more day, you tell me everything. No lies, agreed. Alira nodded, agreed. He gave Eli a warning glance. 1 day, then the soldiers left. That evening, Alira sat across from Eli at a small table. A single candle lit the space between them. She took a breath. My people are the Kailari, she said slowly. We were a peaceful race. Builders, keepers of knowledge. We stayed out of wars. What happened? Eli asked. They came. The Devourers, not an empire, just destruction. They don't want land. They want silence. They erase everything. Eli listened quietly. My mate was killed. My city burned. Only 1 ship left. I took it, with my daughter. She looked away. The Devourers want her. Why? He asked. She's special, Alira whispered. Born during the eclipse cycle, marked by the old light. In our belief, that means destiny. They think, if they control her, they control us. Eli frowned. But your people are gone. Not all. Some scattered. If they knew Sinai lived, they might rise again. That's why they hunt her. Eli leaned forward. And the humans? You thought we'd help? No, she said honestly. I thought you'd kill us quickly, but I had no choice. Outside, Sinai played with a small toy. Eli gave her a spinning top made of metal and string. She smiled every time it wobbled and fell. But far above the clouds, something stirred in orbit. A small device blinked. The tracker in Alira's shoulder-long thought dead was still alive. And now, it had sent a signal. Late that night, Eli checked the scanner in the outpost barn. A red dot had appeared. Unknown vessel. Just outside atmosphere, his blood ran cold. He ran back to the house, locked the door, and grabbed his old rifle. Alira. He said quickly, someone's here. Her eyes went wide. How many? I don't know. But they didn't land friendly. She reached behind her ear and touched something. Her skin glowed faintly. A tracker, she said bitterly. I thought it was burned, Eli swore. Then they're here for the girl. Alira stood up, her strength returning fast. Then we run. Eli shook his head. No, we hide. She looked confused. I know this land. You don't. I know the caves, the tunnels, the spots the drones can't scan. You trust me. I'll get her out. Alira stepped close. Her voice was shaking. You would risk your life. For us. Eli looked her in the eyes. I told you before, he said. I don't walk away. Outside, lights appeared in the sky, falling stars. But not natural. 3 black ships landed silently in the nearby forest. No words, no warnings. The devourers had arrived, and the hunt was on. The night was too quiet. The wind stopped. Even the insects hid. The people of Nova Kalos felt it before they saw it. Something cold and cruel had entered their sky, in the forest. Outside the colony, the trees lit up with red glows as 3 black enemy ships landed like falling shadows. No sound came from them, no voice. No broadcast, just silence. Inside Eli's house, Alira stood at the window, holding her daughter tight. Her eyes, once tired, were now sharp like steel. They're here, she whispered. Eli locked the door and closed the shutters. We have to move. Now, Sinai clung to her mother's neck. Are the bad ones back? Yes, my star, Alira said, kissing her forehead. But this time, we won't run alone. They moved fast. Eli led Alira and Sinai through narrow back paths between tall wheat fields. He knew every step, every hidden rock. Behind them, the dark ships began releasing scout screechers like metal spiders. Fast and silent. They always send the crawlers first, Alira whispered. Eli nodded. We'll take the ridge path. There's an old cave system near the east cliffs. They'll find it, she warned. I know, Eli said. But not before I buy you time. She stopped. No, I won't leave you behind. Eli looked at her. You came here to save your daughter. Let me help you do that. Before Alira could argue, a noise cut through the air, sharp and sudden. A flare shot into the sky from the colony. Then another. The warning had gone out in the town square. Officer Markland stood on top of the council roof with a rifle in one hand and a torch in the other. Everyone get underground, he shouted. People ran. Doors slammed. Lights went out. Many stopped and watched the sky. The devourers had not been seen in months. Many believed they wouldn't return, but they had returned. For one child. In the forest, one of the crawler scouts spotted fresh footprints. It followed them, clicking quietly as it scanned the trail. Then it stopped. Something hot exploded beneath it. Fire and light burst from the dirt. Eli reloaded the second trap he had set. "Told you, this land belongs to me." The crawler was gone, but he knew more would follow. Alira and Sine reached the mouth of the cave. It was hidden by thick vines and rocks. Alira turned to Eli. "Come with us." "I will," he said. "But first, I need to draw them away." He handed her a small beacon. "This will block their scans for a few hours. Keep it near your daughter." "I don't know what to say." Eli's voice broke. "Then say it when we're all safe," Eli said, and ran back into the woods. Eli ran hard through the trees, making noise. Stepping heavy on purpose, he fired 2 shots. Into the air. The forest came alive with movement. Red eyes blinked from the trees. They were following him. He didn't stop back in the cave. Alira sat with Sine in her arms. The child was quiet, listening to the wind outside. "Will Mr. Eli come back?" she asked. Alira nodded, though her hands trembled. "He will." "Do you trust him?" Alira paused. Then she said, "Yes, I do." Eli reached a cliff edge, breathing hard. He turned and looked down the slow, perfect view of the whole valley. He pulled out an old cum unit and spoke into it. "This is Eli Walker of Nova Kalos. We have incoming. Devourers, ground teams. My marking location. Request backup." No answer. He tried again. Nothing. He knew the colony was out of range. But maybe, just maybe. Someone heard. He stood tall and waited. The Devourers came into view. Tall, black armored figures with glowing red eyes. Their steps were too quiet. Too smooth. Eli loaded his shotgun. "If you want them," he muttered, "you'll have to get through me." He fired. The first shot slammed into one of the enemy's shoulders. It fell but didn't scream. They moved closer. He fired again and again. But there were too many. One of them raised a weapon. Eli stood firm. Then boom. An explosion from behind shook the earth. The hill cracked. The cave had triggered the second trap Eli planted earlier. Inside, Alira covered her daughter as dust rained down. But it worked. The entrance sealed with rock. No scanners would get through now. Alira whispered a silent thank you to the human above. Back on the cliff, Eli lay on the ground. Burned but breathing. The Devourers backed off, confused by the blast. Eli smiled through pain. "You didn't get them," he said. "Not today." He closed his eyes, and everything went dark. Eli woke up to pain. His whole body ached. His chest burned from the blast. Dirt covered his face, and blood dripped from his forehead. But he was alive. Somehow, he rolled onto his back and stared at the broken sky above. Smoke rose from the trees. The enemy ships glowed dim red in the distance, and the silence it wasn't peace. It was waiting. Eli sat up slowly and checked his side. Bruised, maybe broken ribs. His shotgun was gone, buried under rocks. His cum device cracked and useless, but he was still breathing. He smiled through the pain. They didn't get her. Deep. In the sealed cave, Alira held her daughter tightly. Sine had fallen asleep again. Her small body curled against her mother's side. The beacon Eli gave them was still glowing, blocking enemy signals. But Alira knew it wouldn't last forever. She placed the child on a soft patch of moss, stood up, and stepped deeper into the cave. She whispered old words in her language words. Of the Kailari ancestors, she didn't believe in the old powers much anymore. Not after everything. But now she had nothing else. Suddenly, a soft blue glow appeared along the cave walls. Alira turned slowly. The light responded to her voice, like it remembered her. This was not just a cavern, was a hidden refuge. One her people had built long ago when they visited distant stars. She stepped into the glow, and it welcomed her. Outside, Devourers were growing restless. Their scouts searched the wreckage where Eli had been. One of them reported signs of life, but no target found. The leader of the squad, a tall silver-armored figure, spoke in a deep voice. "The child is near. I can feel her." He pointed toward the east cliffs. "She must be taken. The queen blood is not to be lost." Meanwhile, Officer Markelin led a group of human volunteers through the forest. They carried rifles, tools, and old military gear from storage. Some were shaking with fear. Some wanted to run, but they followed, because one man, Eli Walker, had stood up when no one else did. They owed him, and they would not let his sacrifice be in vain. Alira returned to her daughter with something in her hand, a glowing Orban old Kylari relic, once used to protect young ones during times of danger. She placed it near Sanai. The orb released a soft pulse. A shield formed around the child, almost invisible, but strong like stone. Sine stirred. "Mama, I'm here," Alira said softly. "No one will touch you." Sine looked up at her mother. "Will we go home?" Alira's voice trembled. "This is home now." Outside the cave, the Devourers found the collapsed entrance. Their scanners failed. The beacons still worked. But they began digging, slowly, patiently, like hunters who already tasted victory. Eli limped through the trees. Every step hurt, but he didn't stop. He used the trees for support. Followed the scent of smoke and ash. Followed the memory of Alira's eyes, the eyes of a mother with nothing left but love. He had to reach them. He had to fight, even if it cost him everything. The Devourers finally broke through the rocks. One by one, they entered the glowing cave. Their steps were heavy, but careful. Inside, they saw her Alira, standing alone in front of the sleeping child. Weapons rose. "Step aside," one enemy said in a cold voice. "We only want the girl." Alira didn't move. "She is not yours. She carries royal blood. That blood belongs to us now." "No," Alira said. "It belongs to no one. Not anymore." The enemy stepped closer. Alira raised her hand. Her skin glowed bright blue. The old energy answered her call. A blast of light slammed into the nearest soldier. Throwing him into the wall, the others opened fire. But Alira had already moved. She fought like a mother wolf's fairy strike. Every movement filled with purpose. Not for herself, but for her child. Just then bang. A single shot rang out. One of the Devourers fell. Eli stood at the cave entrance, bleeding, shaking, but still standing. He had found a working weapon from a fallen scout. "You don't touch them," he growled. The Devourers turned. Together. Eli and Alira fought. She used light and power. He used grit and fire, and the cave. It seemed to fight with them. The old energy of her people came alive in the walls, confusing the enemy scanners, shifting the ground beneath their feet. One by one, the Devourers fell. The last one reached for Sine. Eli threw himself between them. He took the hit and didn't fall. He roared, slammed the attacker with a steel rod, and crushed its helmet. Silence fell. The fight was over. Alira ran to him. He was on his knees, coughing. "I told you not to get hurt," she whispered. "You're welcome." He grinned. Sine ran over and hugged them both, glowing softly inside the shield. For the first time, Alira didn't cry in fear, but in relief. "You saved her," she said. Eli touched the child's hair. "We saved her." Morning sunlight broke across the trees. The fight was over, but the world was still quiet. As if it didn't believe what had happened. Eli lay on the ground just outside the glowing cave, head resting against a smooth rock, breathing slow but steady. Bandages wrapped his chest, stained with blood. Alira had stayed by his side the whole night. using what energy she had left to heal his worst wounds. She had not left him, not even for a moment. Inside the cave, Sine slept peacefully. Under the soft hum of the Kailari shield, her small hands clutched the glowing orb, now dim and calm. It was the first true sleep the child had had in many days. Alira stepped out into the soft light, her long hair falling over one shoulder, her robes torn and dirty. But her face was no longer afraid. She knelt beside Eli and placed a warm hand on his shoulder. His eyes opened slowly. "You're still here?" he said. "You're still alive," she replied with a small smile. "I thought I'd be dead by now." "You were close," she said, "but you are too stubborn." He gave a weak chuckle. "I've been called worse." A pause. Then her voice turned soft. "Why?" she asked. "Why what? Why did you fight for us? Why did you stay when the others wanted us gone?" Eli turned his head toward her. "Because when I looked at your daughter, I saw my son. He was about her age when the bombs came." Alira lowered her eyes. "I couldn't save him," Eli said, voice quiet. "But I could save her. I had to try." She looked at him for a long time. Her hand reached out and brushed the dirt from his face. "No one from your world has ever touched mine with kindness," she said. "Until you." By midday, Officer Marklin and the villagers arrived at the cave. They had followed the smoke and found the trail when they saw the broken bodies of the devourers, the shattered armor, and the glowing marks on the cave walls. They stood in silence. Marklin knelt beside Eli. "You always were a damn fool," he muttered. Eli opened one eye. "Good to see you too." Aklun helped lift him gently, but his eyes kept drifting toward Alira and the child. Is she the reason they came?" "Yes," Alira answered calmly. "But not because she is a danger, because she is a symbol." Thal crossed his arms. "A symbol of what?" "Of hope," Alira replied. "Of a people who are not finished. Of a future that still lives." The villagers exchanged looks. Some were unsure, some still afraid, but then Sine stepped forward. She looked up at them with wide, innocent eyes and bowed. A child's bow, quiet, honest. She was not a weapon, not a queen. Just a little girl who wanted peace. Marklin looked down, then nodded slowly. "If she stays," he said, "you both stay. You've earned that much." The next few days passed like a dream. Eli healed slowly. Helped by Alira's strange glowing hands and herbal medicines, Sine played with human children, at first shy, then laughing more each day. Alira helped rebuild parts of the village damaged by the enemy ships. She showed them ways to grow crops faster, using Kylar route mapping. Her knowledge saved a season of food. The humans began to see her not as a threat, but as a gift. And Eli watched her with quiet wonder. He had seen her broken, wounded, frayed. Now he saw something else. Strength, grace, and kindness, deeper than the stars. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky gold, Alira stood beside him at the edge of a field. She held his hand gently, not out of need, but out of choice. "My people once believed that kindness is weakness," she said. "But I've learned it's the opposite." Eli turned to her. "What do you mean? You showed me mercy when you had nothing to gain. You risked your life when you had no reason to. And because of that, I found my strength again." Sine ran through the tall grass nearby, chasing firebugs, her laughter ringing out like music. Eli smiled. Alira looked at him, eyes glowing faintly in the dusk. "We came here with nothing," she said. "Now we have everything." She placed a soft kiss on his cheek. "Because of one human, far above, in deep space." The last devourer fleet listened to silence. Their target had vanished. Their mission failed, and in a small human colony on a forgotten world. The future had changed, because kindness, once given, had become something greater. It had become home. 6 months later, the fields of Nova Kalos were full of life. Green stretched across the valley. Children laughed as they ran through crops taller than themselves. The villagers no longer whispered about the alien mother and her child. Now they waved at her when she passed. They smiled when Sine sang her morning song to the sun, and Eli Walker. He was no longer just a lonely farmer. He was the man who stood between death and a child's future. The man who reminded everyone that kindness was not weakness, but strength, but peace never lasts forever. One morning, a sharp sound echoed across the skies. Alarms, Nova Kalos. Hadn't heard that sound in months. People rushed outside and looked up. 3 massive warships had entered orbit. Not small scout ships, not search teams. Devour war carriers. The real army had come. Inside the council chamber, voices shouted, "They'll destroy us. We should surrender the alien girl. They came for her. No, she's one of us now." Marklin slammed a fist on the table. "Enough. We don't betray our own. Not again." All eyes turned to Eli and Alira, who stood side by side. "They want my daughter," Alira said calmly. "But they will take nothing." Eli looked around the room. "We don't have the weapons to stop them." Alira nodded. "But we do. Have a voice." That evening, a small shuttle left the surface. It carried Alira, Eli, and Sine straight into space to the enemy. They had no shields, no guns, just a message. As they reached the warship, silence held the stars still. Then, Ali. Voice came through the comes deep, metallic, and cruel. "You are bold." "Queen of Ash, I am no queen," Alira said. "I am a mother. And this child, this girl, is not yours. She is Kailari blood. She belongs to our order now. She belongs to no one," Eli interrupted. There was silence, then laughter. "A human dares speak before us." "I do," Eli replied, "and I speak for this world. You will not take her. You will not touch her. You will face every hand here, human or alien, that has found something worth protecting." The laughter stopped. The enemy ship powered its weapons. But something happened next that changed everything. All over Nova Kalos, villagers began to broadcast, one by one, old radios, farm drones, repair satellites, even weather towers. Each one echoed Eli's words. "We stand with the girl. She is ours now. She is family." The Devourer commander hesitated. This was not what they expected. No guns, no shields. Just unity. It made them pause. Suddenly, another ship appeared from deep space. Not human. Not Devour.Klari. Long thought gone. The old Kailari fleet emerged from hidden exile. Illyra's signal sent months ago from the ancient cave had reached them. They had heard the voice of a human who defended a child not his own. And they had returned. The stars lit up with blue light. The Devourers, outnumbered for the first time, backed away. Their ships turned and they fled. Back on the surface, cheers rose through Nova Kalos. People hugged each other. Children danced in the streets. The threat that had hunted Alira across the stars was finally broken. And the child they once feared was now their light. That night, Alira stood beneath the sky, holding Sine's hand. Eli joined her. The three of them quiet beneath the stars. "She's safe now," Eli said softly. "Yes," Alira whispered. "And not just her." Eli looked at her. "You changed us," she said. "Your kindness did something my people couldn't do with power. It made us belong again." Eli touched Sine's hair, then looked at Alira. "You brought the courage. I just opened the door." She stepped closer to him. "No," she said. "You did more than that." Sine giggled, pulling them both down onto the grass. The three of them lay side by side. Looking up, no fear, no alarms. Only stars on the soft beat of three hearts that now beat as one.